5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
3, 2, 1, start. हॅलो
हा बोल.
बाबा,
हा बोल ना. अरे
बाबा पास झालो.
किती टक्के पडले?
75.
अरे ठीक आहे ठीक. मला जास्तीची अपेक्षा होती थोडी.
हा बाबा, आता
Everybody, if they're ever a part of a theatre workshop, would know this, that it kind of gets you to the center stage, gets you to know a little bit more about yourself. You discover aspects of your personality just by the mere fact of having to enact something on stage, having dialogues to deliver. So it gives children an option as to what are the different things that they are capable of in terms of public speaking, in terms of writing, also in terms of story, understanding. So it plays a very, very pivotal role in shaping their future, I think.
The most important thing about theatre is you are slipping into the shoes of a character which is not your inherent self, and that helps you look at issues from that point of view. And I think that is a huge learning for any theatre person. You are not yourself. You are emoting what the character feels, and in being able to do that and successful in doing that, you are actually looking at the world from somebody else's viewpoint. So you are able to stand out of it yet slip into it. So I think that whole perspective, the way directors address it, the way the writer has addressed it, and the way your co-artists respond to your interaction, all of these become a holistic learning experience that broadens and wisens you.
चलना काय करता है थोड़ा आओ शब्द है चलना भी थोड़ा.
I think children get very excited when it has to be presented in a dramatized manner. The teachers are also able to understand the different dimensions that children are thinking in regarding a particular topic. And it just helps to keep the overall picture in mind when you're doing something. Opens many other areas, not just the objective that you're looking at. But I think it opens many other new learnings as well.
नील आता सूड घ्या. आणि आता त्यांनी इतकं सहज मूर्ती बनवली म्हणून तुम्ही बनवू नका. तुम्ही आता कम्प्लीट दगडून राहा. ओके. हा, रमा आणि शारदा जरा 2 मिनिटं थांब. हा, थोडा श्वास घ्या. काय होतंय ते बघा. मग आपण ब्रेक नंतर.
Children in India are very shy. They are like me. We are grown up like boys don't cry, boys don't express, boys should hold their emotions inside. They do not shout, they do not laugh loudly. And girls are grown up in the same way. They are less expressive. So I found it very interesting when they are doing theatre, they are very expressive.
With respect to autistic children, I have seen a lot of children learning to identify feelings and to express feelings well. We use a lot of storytelling techniques in school. So whenever the story is told in a particular way, it's narrated in a particular way. So when we use dramatization of the story, wherein the character is angry, so the way the facial expression changes, the tone changes, children learn when they have to express anger, how it should be. When the teacher is talking in a particular way, that means, oh, either she's angry or she's upset at me or she's happy with me. So I would say every child who learns emotion through theatre or through storytelling and dramatization is a success story for us.
I think theatre is the space where a person finds his voice. That is the space where certain issues that are addressed which may not be addressed in a normal life. A person, a young man or an adolescent cannot ask his father why you decide what I want to do in my life. But in a play, a youth does. And when in the audience a youth sees, or the father sees a youth questioning his father, there is a certain amount of introspection that happens in the audience, and parents come to us and say, we didn't realize while we were dealing with our children, but when we saw your play, we did realize where we were going wrong. So it definitely brings about a change in the way people think and the way people react and deal with children.
Improvisation is one very, very important technique. There are others like visual canvas. Anything that creates an original kind of a reaction from the participant is going to be a good tool as far as theatre and education is concerned. A lot of group activity also helps this kind of an education. It also, I'm sure you've heard of this playback theatre, wherein situations are presented in front of an audience. Situations possibly from their own life, and you look at these situations, which are your own life situations, and then try and figure out, what could be a good solution to this problem of yours. Because now you're looking at this problem through a different person's perspective. So these are the ways in which I think theatre has been used for education.
I saw my first Grips play, which was the very first Grips show in India in 1986, when I was barely 7. And from that point of time, I was completely hooked to this theatre, which is basically a German theatre movement. It started in Germany in the 60s, and Dr. Mohan Agashe saw it in the 94, and he thought that it's very relevant and very appropriate in the Indian scenario.
I happened to watch plays of Grips Theatre in Berlin, and that was like a breath of fresh air. For a very simple thing, that normally children's theatre is the theatre we are used to see with children, not necessarily focused at children being the intelligent audience. So this is one very unique feature. 2, the themes of the plays were realistic, and they looked at the world from their point of view. So it's the double standard authoritarian behavior of adults, lack of playgrounds, maybe environmental issues. So, but like Brecht says, whatever serious themes, the plays were great fun and playful. A lot of humor, music, very entertaining. But they sort of smuggled the education. So, on the face of it, they don't like the word pedagogy or education. But it's always in the subtext. And the last thing, but also the best is, the children were played by young adults. So if you can play a 60-year-old at the age of 25, why can't you play a 9-year-old at 20? So emotional transparency, physicality. So all these things I thought I must introduce.
I don't think it is as predominant as it should be or it can be. The reasons are very socio-economical reasons. That an actor who's a full-time actor or a theatre trainer, he needs a certain stability to sustain. Does the school curriculum or the education system or the government give him this security or this stability are certain questions that need to be answered. Sometimes these luxuries remain for the 0.5% of the socio-economic class. The children who go to global schools, to international schools, to 5-star schools. Most of the children go to basic normal schools, even municipal schools. In those schools, it's a luxury.
You would find hardly any teachers who would be there to teach theatre, because everybody who does theatre wants to go into mainstream, right? They want to be into the mainstream theatre or mainstream amateur theatre, if not mainstream professional. Yes, but there are very few who would take it up as a passion to teach theatre. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, in India, because of the craze of Bollywood that we have, right, there are a few people who've converted this entire acting business into a business.
Many schools, as an education vendor at one point, and I've visited almost 150 schools, they don't. Especially so, I think we have some great Indian playwriters like Vijay Tendulkar, and a lot of others, in fact, and only one name somehow comes to my head. But it needs to be more spoken about, and I have not seen a lot of schools taking active interest in this. At the most, what they do is they arrange for a theatre workshop, but it is not a curriculum integrated theme.
So every parent's thing is that each child should be having a main character's role. So if your scene is, you recognize, they do not know the importance of writing a script, of backstage work, of even a spot boy or a light man or a sound person. So for them, unfortunately, I think so at school level, parents are only thinking that, how much time my child has got on stage. So that thing needs to be changed, and, I think so we need to bring about
yeah, that's absolutely apt actually. In their minds, it's about the curtain, the proscenium setup, and the child performing, and a nice Kodak moment, and it stays as that.
What we lack as far as providing is infrastructure. Very little is done as far as infrastructure is concerned. We should be able to provide assistance as far as good spaces, good equipment. Most of the theatre that is done in an amateur kind of an atmosphere here lacks most of these things.
I would definitely recommend a workshop at the child at some level, where there's a transformation from childhood to a teenage, where you're learning to discipline yourself, knowing the importance of like the dignity of labor time. I think so it should be inculcated in the curriculum. It has to be a must, a mandate theatre experience for all kids. At whatever, in front of the camera, behind the camera, at whatever stage.
I think theatre has to be viewed out of the context of the audience only, and for that to happen, there is, it's like in service, and how you are when you're really learning a profession, to understand and to respect it, like she said, even the dignity part of it. Maybe just a summer workshop is not going to be enough. Maybe just a performance is not going to be enough. Maybe just even the curriculum part may not be enough. I think what is important is probably something like planning a very junior level of internship. So when they come and they are a part of active professional theatre, and they play a very small part. So if you could even place students from the 5th or the 6th standard to come and part of them are the technical team, part of them are with the production team. So you get a taste of everything, because there's just so much more to theatre apart from just the actor who stands on stage and says his dialogue.
I strongly believe in teacher training programs. When teachers are exposed to understand the wide spectrum, only then would they be able to dabble in it, experiment with their students. There is no point in just saying that teachers need to incorporate. What is the effort taken? Are there teacher training workshops training them for theatre or usage of theatre? Every school would have at least 3 or 4 individuals who have some inclination towards this art form. So rope in that talent, pull it out through the curriculum, bring in students, make learning more fun through theatre. So it is definitely possible. It has to be mindset change of management that runs institutions, the academic forum that looks at theatre as not just entertainment but also education, and that looks at teacher training to incorporate these skills and pass it on to students who then receive what is being taught as a more enriching learning experience.
I have my formal training in psychiatry, And so I'm a little familiar with how minds work, how thinking works, how emotions work. And our conventional education system is biased towards cognition and cognitive development, and not necessarily emotional. Whereas theatre and films, subtext is very rich and content is very emotional. And you can't learn only with intelligence. You have to combine it and synchronize it with your emotions.